Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I'm the owner of Valued Productions, but I am also a co-host here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. My business helps turn strangers into clients using video content. I'm joined today with my co-host.
Good morning, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker, founder of the Mindset Movement, where I provide inspiration, motivation, and tips and tricks to learn how to harness the power of your mindset. I'm one of your co-hosts here on the podcast, joined with Miss Danielle.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. Essentially, I'm an aerialist, so essentially I fly suspended in the air. I'm referred to as the bird of the surf. I'm also an educator, so I travel throughout Maine and teach other people how to do it too. And we are here with our wonderful guest today.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Megan Fahey. So I work for my family's sign company based out of Leamington, Maine. So we do custom fab signs and we specialize in doing vehicle advertising as well. So lots of fleet work and then a bunch of other small things in between.
Helping business stand out. I'm here for it. Your work is amazing.
Yeah, it's in my budget. I don't know, but I'm sure I can speak for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, as soon as my car craps out, eventually, it's at like 218,000 miles right now. But once it is time for a new car, we will definitely be talking. I'm getting full on shebang.
Yeah. I actually just had a moment yesterday where I thought of your line of work, even took a picture. So there's food trucks at the events that I do. I have a rig and children can come up and try aerial arts, and then myself or students perform. So anyway, so there's all these other beautiful, wonderful vendors, and they're really smart with their advertisement. And honestly, it's kind of not the sector I've put a lot of time in yet. And I love someone had like a magnetic sign, so you could see that they just put it wherever on their food truck that it needed to be. And it was all of their social media links and a QR code. And I'm like, normally people video their kids on my rig and I don't have them tag me. Like I can barely even get a business card out because the minute I'm mounting these kids up, you know? And so I'm like, gosh, I wish I had something that stuck to my rig, like a magnet that had all that information on it, and here you are.
Or if you had a sign that like stood next to the rig that like they could get off and stand next to and like take a picture with your rig there, and like it had your business name and like your social media and stuff.
Yeah,
something. Megan, you help businesses grow. Tell us a little bit. I would love to know some success stories, like some of those clients that you've had that are like, Megan, Sebago Sign Works. Look what you did for my business. Like, I love hearing those stories that like confirm the work that you are doing. What are some of those stories?
Yeah, so I guess I don't have any specific one that comes to mind. We help businesses all the time with effective vehicle advertising. I use this example all the time. So like say our company was called Fahey Sign Works. A lot of people have their last name and then whatever their business is. A lot of people will have Fahey in big letters and then Sign Works super small because they're very proud of the business that they've made. And I could totally relate to that. However, how effective is that really? No one actually cares about your last name. They just care about the services that you offer. So it's not just putting fun and pretty designs on a vehicle or a sign. There's actually some logic that goes into it. And actually, so if it's done properly, you can gain 30 to 60,000 impressions per mile.
Wild.
Wow.
It's crazy. So if it's done right, it can be crazy effective.
I love hearing the numbers. That's
Yeah.
what's up. I didn't know that.
I believe that. There's so many vehicles that you see. There's like a handful right here in the town of Rangeley that I'm like, I don't even know what business you have because your letters are so small. I can't even read one of the letters.
Right.
I have no idea.
Right.
Not a clue.
And like, for example, so in B&I actually, I was trying to connect, I'm not going to say the name of the business, but I was trying to connect with a specific business in the area. I would just drive by and be like, man, I would love to work with them. I was saying their business name wrong for probably a couple years because of the font. I looked it up online, spelt it the way that I thought it was spelled, and it was not at all correct because of the font. It was poorly designed, so I thought the business was called something completely different. So yeah, it's design work, totally, not to say it's a science, but it's totally, you have to put some logic into it and really think about how to make it effective. Simple, keep it very simple. It'll go such a long way.
I love that. So I'm curious, how did you get into doing what you do? Like, how did you get into just doing signs? I know before you get into it, the reason I ask is I know you have kind of a cool story with your family and everything, and I think our listeners would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story as to how it happened. So Sebago Signworks opened before I was even born. So I grew up in the industry. But how it came about was my dad and his parents actually worked on the carnival during his childhood. So he grew up all along the East Coast. And so when he was coming to work for the Freiburg Fair, my mom has lived in Bloomington her whole life. So she was at the Freiburg Fair, saw my dad working. Apparently she has a thing for carnies. It was love at first sight, and the rest is history. And they were young. They were kids. They were probably like 14 or 15 years old. So they grew up together. But my dad ended up moving up here. A few years later, my grandparents followed him up here. Grandparents love them, have tried multiple times to have a business, and it just didn't really always seem to work out for them. So they tried opening what was called Signs and Seconds in Raymond. I just don't think it was a great fit for them. So probably not even a couple years later, they ended up handing the business down to my dad. My dad was at a point in his life where he really wanted to get married and settle down, just really have something established. So my dad took it, ran with it, and then was born Sebago Signworks. So that was probably 9 to 10 years before I was even born. So I have so many memories of going to work with my dad in Raymond at the time. He had a little playroom set up for me. I used to play with the machines, all of that type of fun stuff, play with the vinyl. And yeah, it was always talked about me working or eventually taking over the family business. But I think a lot of people in my position, I was very stubborn. I didn't just want to follow in my father's footsteps because that's what he wanted. So when I was 16, I started working for a local RV sales and service dealership. I was in high school during COVID. COVID completely changed my life. If it weren't for COVID, I'd probably be a lawyer or doing something really boring like that. So I was working full time during COVID. COVID checked me out of school, had no interest in going, so I was making really good money at the time. Then when it came time to graduate, corporate company purchased a small family business, opened a lot of doors for me. So it's like, man, I really have something going good for me. And I was pretty excited because I didn't have to put myself in debt for it. And then a couple years went by. Dad started getting older, started seeing him get a little burnt out. I was getting a little tired of being at my first job. I kind of needed something new, but I was still like, man, I don't know if I could commit to this, the family business. So he started working with a business coach, and he was like, I think you just have to hear this guy out and hear what he has to say. So he gave us this business model, EMT, entrepreneur, manager, technician. My father's a great entrepreneur. He's built a very successful business for himself and my family, and he's a great technician. Could do anything from start to finish when it comes to signage. Management, completely different story. And at my last job, I had experience in management from a corporate company. So there's a lot of skills that I could bring over here. So that was kind of what sold me on it. I was like, yeah, I could implement and hopefully help grow the business. So I came on as the M, the manager. Part of the E was for my dad was working on the business, not in the business, which is where B&I came into play. Being in the same industry, my dad has known the Manx for quite some time. So Kelly invited him to Lakes Region B&I before it had launched. And I guess after his first meeting, mind you, his first meeting was my first week working here. So he went to his first meeting. Guess it didn't go well. Kelly asked who else may be interested in joining. He was like, oh, my daughter, she would love to come. And then so I went my second week working there, went to B&I, had no idea what it was, had never gone to any sort of networking event just because I had never been in a position to grow a business. Business was just handed to me at my last job. But yeah, if I'm being completely honest, if it weren't for B&I, I don't think I would have stuck with the family business. There's just something about being surrounded by like-minded individuals. It helps you grow professionally and personally. I am definitely not the same person I was a year and a half ago before joining. So totally credit B&I to what I've actually been able to do with the family business.
I love that. I love EMT.
Yeah.
Like you think, like call the ambulance, EMT. No, 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 no. I am, what is it?
Entrepreneur, manager,
manager.
technician.
I love that. I love that.
It's
also
just something so simple.
Yeah.
You know, like what hat am I wearing? Is it
Yeah.
what task does this go? I'm gonna actually probably think of that now.
Yeah.
That's quite
Absolutely.
helpful.
Well, it helps with delegation, and delegating is such an important role. You can't do everything by yourself. That's
Mhm.
why
And we get so many things, we don't organize them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then that's when you get overwhelmed and stressed out and burnt out, like your dad was getting. Like there was no visual structure of what he was doing. And I think a lot of times as business owners, like we feel like we have to do that all. And it's not always hiring like a person to take over one of those tasks. Sometimes it's hiring a company or an assistant to do some of those things just a little bit. Graham, you can
Yep.
contest to this. Like one of the first things I do as a coach with entrepreneurs is say, all right, what are you doing that doesn't feel good and how can we get rid of it? Right? Because there's a lot of things that we do working in the business versus on the business. Like, I love that you're able to support your dad in harnessing where he needs to be in the business, which is a game changer quality of life in being a business owner when we can be where we need to be, when we can do what we're meant to be doing here.
And sometimes it's just making that structure. You know what I mean? Like if you're just doing stuff and like it's whatever, it's like, well, let's put it into this EMT structure or whatever structure that fits your business. You know what I mean? And then you know where the pieces, and then it's more efficient of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
More connected to it, right? So like when I'm coaching clients, I'm connected to their transformation. I know my reason why I'm there. When I'm in the back office of my business building systems, I have a reason why. When you break it all down and you can dig deep into your why of why you're doing that task or that action, it becomes so much more purposeful and then you get so much better results. Like you said, you could do that in less time. You know, a lot of times we talk about working a lot of hours to minimal hours. It's the same amount of tasks. A lot of times we're not getting rid of the tasks. We're just switching the why, the purpose. We're giving it way deeper of a purpose, and then the quality of it is just way better. And you can get it done so much quicker because you're in it. You're not dreading it. You're not resisting it.
What I love about Megan's story is that she went to become the M. And then you became the M and you already had the T because you grew up in it. And then being an entrepreneur is being taught to you by your dad by just being your dad, right? And then So you got to come back as the M or your own version of it, which I love. And the reason why I think BNI is so appealing, especially to younger people, is entrepreneurship is very isolating.
Mm-hmm.
And BNI takes that away. It also is a consistent form of education where we don't have a manual as entrepreneurs. Even if you went to business school, which I did, the information I got there, while, great and also very old, this was like a long time ago. However, there's no manual for actually doing this. There's books that are helpful, but that day-to-day just interaction with peers and people like yourselves, whether they're a different age, gender, and different line of work, it's just an equal ground. I love it. I can totally see why that is effective for you, and I love that you came with your own skills to offer the business.
It is. I'm a young woman in business. I'm still learning how to run this business and, just the industry as a whole. And being in BNI, there's people who have been in business and running businesses for 20, 30 plus years. And so being able to lean on them for support, it almost feels like a cheat. And it makes me feel more validated for not actually pursuing an education. Because I'm like, I would have just been listening to people who studied how to run a business versus actually running a business. I'm putting myself in it, in the thick of it, and I'm learning from people who have actually done it themselves. And I feel like you can't put a dollar amount on that. That's the best education you could get.
100%.
I think that's one of the top reasons why I show up. If we're talking about like the reasons why we show up and do the things we do, that's what the podcast not only gives me, because we have amazing guests like you on every single week. We are learning and we're giving our listeners what BNI gives us. And I think that that's so important because there's only 500 BNI members in Maine. And that's not a lot, right? That's not a lot at all. And so we got to get this inspiration somewhere. And I love what you just said. So you are a young woman in business. And Danielle and Graham, you can totally relate to this. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners can too. When you are young in business, there can come with some struggles. So, especially in a family-owned business, Megan, tell us a little bit about those struggles and how you overcome them and how you work through them.
Yeah, the biggest struggle is that I work for my dad, which has so many pros and cons. I am absolutely the female version of my father. However, I do consider myself to be a little bit more process-oriented and organized. So I don't know if he's going to be listening to this, so I got to be very careful. Hey, Dad! Yeah, hello. I brought in processes, like something as simple as like work orders. I have a whiteboard that has everyone's schedules on it. Stuff that just wasn't there before. And I can't say how was he doing it? Because clearly he has been doing something right these 25 plus years. So I can't just be like, oh, he's doing it wrong. Let me just come in and change everything. But there's just things that I'm like, Dad, what were you doing all of this time? So many, in my opinion, simple things that I've brought on. And then it is very difficult because at this point, I'm just trying to keep him out. Unless I keep a list of things that I need to go over with him. But past that, I'm like, you do not need to be here. Because when he is here, I do find things to be his way, which is fine. But I was brought on board to have things now go my way. And so it's definitely very uncomfortable having to keep my dad out, having to be a little bit more stern with him. It's just watching those boundaries really. And when our guys, we're very small. There's my dad and I, and then we have 4 other employees. So 6 of us total running the show. So not a lot of us, we're pretty tight knit and the staff that we have is amazing. But they do look up to my dad quite a bit. And so it's very easy for, oh, well, Devin said to do this. And I was like, oh, well, I told you to do this because I actually know what we have scheduled and coming up. So it's just things like that. I don't know, miscommunication and Like last week, for example, I was sick. I wasn't here. So my dad came in, which he never does. I was like, that's super weird. Why are you there? And like, I just came in and like things were just changed around. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Just a different way of doing things, I guess.
You know, I love what you're giving your dad, though, is that you saw him burnt out and you saw him like stressed, right, in the business, and
Yeah,
you're alleviating him of that. And so you're really shifting what a family business can be.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
that
you're a whole
care.
different generation. So your
Yeah.
organization skills, you have so many, when a whiteboard is more efficient than using your phone. For him, he probably managed papers and notes and post-its,
for
So
sure.
I love
We
that.
waste a lot of paper here. Yep.
Yeah, I can already like picture his like where his head's at. But I love that you bring like a youthful and feminine touch because I have like 6 whiteboards. I think that's a woman thing.
Literally.
It is. I have
Honestly.
a thing for whiteboards.
Do you have a bunch of
Absolutely.
whiteboards, Graham? How many you
I
got?
just
See
got this
one.
one right here, but it's just more
Is
for
it
show.
new?
Oh man.
Oh, it's more
No.
for show.
For
Yeah.
show. Oh, and I will, the
I love
first
it.
thing I do when I feel out of tune with my business or
Mm,
life is I erase everything that's on the whiteboard and I stand there and stare at it. That's
I
all
love
I do.
that.
And
I
then
go
it
back to
literally,
post-it sometimes though. Like I'll be
Oh,
like,
post-its.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Post-its
get
are my
it.
best friend. I'm all
Yeah.
about the post-its.
Okay.
Post-its
so
are my
Megan, I
best
have a
friend.
question. So
Mhm.
as an aerialist, I embody movement. How does within your job, what kind of tools or concepts would you consider when managing someone that's trying to express movement? So in my logo, for example, the A is a girl on a silk, and the J is a girl on the lyra. And if you're in the industry, you know it's an A and a J. So I do have like bullet font under it, just so you know. But I did that because it shows movement, right? I felt like everything, just the words weren't enough when I was building this.
Mm.
It took me 2 years to come up with that. So, in your world, what would you do to accommodate me, for example, like or movement based businesses, whether it's a karate or whatever?
Yeah, so definitely having some form of movement in your logo, I think would be very important. But like say like you're talking about magnets, like say you want to put some magnets or even just some door graphics on your vehicle, we could do your logo with the movement, and then aerial jade, but not everyone might know what aerial jade is. So we could do bullet points underneath or a quick slogan, which I could help you come up with on really dumbing it down on what it is because you want to attract new people.
Well, I just got the bird of the circus copyrighted, so it's technically mine.
Yeah.
So is that a slogan?
It could be, absolutely.
Because that explains what I do, right? Like within a blurb. Okay.
Yeah, explaining what you do and just keeping it because it's mobile. People are not, if you're driving 50, 60 miles down the road, not everyone's really going to be able to read and catch exactly what you said. So that's why you just want to keep it super simple. Simple, stupid. I live by it.
Yeah. No, I love your creativity. I love where this conversation is going because I think that that's regardless of the business that you work in, as I coach a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, like you have to have that, you have to tap into that creativity of what you do, right? Like even if it's a product, service, it doesn't matter what it is. So I love that you bring that in for people too, Megan. Like I'm just sitting here, you're sparking my creativity, right? It is, a lot of people don't understand what coaches do. And my business name is my name because it was never supposed to be a business. It's a whole long story short. So, like, what could I do? And if I think about it, like, the mindset movement literally says exactly what I'm doing, which is changing the world and making mindset a movement. And so that gets people like sparked, like, well, I want to be part of the movement, right? And that's my goal is to be like, you need to be part of the movement because it's such a better way of life. So I love that you spark creativity in people. And if you think about it, a lot of business owners start with something like vehicle graphics or a sign. And so if you're starting them from that, you're sparking that initial creativity in them, which is really cool and essential for business.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And it's really fun to work with small businesses like ours and watching them grow. Like I just talked about this yesterday in my B&I meeting. We've been working with a small family-owned business, probably pretty similar to the same size as mine. Pets company right down the road from us. Very small, one truck is what they started out with, but now they're up to like 5 trucks, have some signage. And so being able to watch them grow and have them grow with us, it's just the type of partnership that we really like. Obviously, I like working with the big corporations because that's how I keep the lights on. But what really gets us going is working with businesses very similar to ours, because it really helps build. You want to have a close relationship to whoever's helping you market your business, because it really, I don't think people think about it enough and how effective it really should be and how serious you should really take it. Like, it drives me insane. Like, if you, Trinity, if you were to price me out for wrapping your car and you called 5 other sign companies for the same exact project, I promise you I will come in higher. However, we have, not saying me personally, we have experience, but combined with everyone here, we have more experience to get it done right. We also use better materials. Like, I have it all the time. I get new clients all the time because they went with the cheaper guy, and then they wonder why the vinyl's caked on their vehicle and why their paint is coming up. We're more expensive because of our expertise and the materials that we use.
Yeah.
And I would way
and the
rather,
creativity, right?
yeah, exactly. And I would way rather, I deal with this all the time too, is like the premium, like you have that relationship. Because, you know, I mean, I know personally, I'm always talking to people and they're like, well, I could do it on my phone, or there's AI. And it's like, well, yeah, you could. And it probably is better than nothing for sure. But like, if you want that real like creativity, you want it done right, like there's a premium to that. And so it ends up coming out, it ends up coming out cheaper in the long run, because if you,
It does.
you know what I mean? If you get something cheap, it lasts a couple years. You end up having to redo it again. Now you're paying double versus getting one time done right. It looks killer, and it has the longevity to it.
And it's
right the first
and
time.
effective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And effective, right? Because if you go to the cheaper guy, they may be effective with your name, but they're not thinking about things like, hey, you're passing someone going 60. What do you do?
Right.
It's not really your name, it's kind of what you do, because then it sparks the interest to say, what's the name? Where a lot of people think backwards. It's the name and then what you do. It's like, it's not. It's what you do, because you got to get people quick, and that's advertising. And I love what you said, Graham. Like, yeah, you could do all that stuff on your phone. But what I also think that something like someone like Megan, Sebago Signworks, Graham, Value Productions, me, coaching, Danielle, you, Ariel, is you allow people to step into the authenticity of who they are.
Exactly.
And I think about it, really relates to coaching too. Like, you could go and read personal development books. You can take seminars where you don't get one-to-one support. You can go and hire a coach that doesn't have you in their phone under your name 24/5 support to help you through the things. You'll get more effective in a quicker amount of time. Graham, same thing. Videos, right? Danielle, Ariel is freaking hard, but you build the muscles really quickly.
Even areas that are better than me, right? You think that they could just sit home and continue? No. I've been doing it so long, I can predict things just by looking.
Yeah.
You know, and I have like more than proved that. So there, you're right. There's absolute value with hiring someone to lead you. You know, I've been juggling the marketing of my business on my own, and I'm just like at that point, you know, but I'm also at that point financially where I can put it in the budget, and it's a very important part, you know, and I think that matters too, to kind of go out all out in your first year of business. I'm not saying nobody should do that, but for me, it wasn't right. I didn't even have my logo fully designed until 2 years after that, right? So,
we all have our
for
own
that line of work.
Yeah, we all have our own journeys, right? I mean, it's business specific too. Like, there are specific businesses who need to have a logo quick, and they need to have a storefront quick, and they need to have their vehicles lettered and wrapped quick. Then you've got other types of businesses where that comes in on year 2 or 3. And I think that, I hope that that's what our listeners get from this podcast, because we have so many different businesses come on in so many different areas of life and industries. What is your journey? It doesn't have to be any of ours here. Take little bits and little tips. Like Danielle didn't have a logo until year 2 or 3. Do you have a logo? Do you need to update it? The movement. Is your business a movement? Maybe you have a movement in your logo, right? So, Graham, maybe you're like Danielle and are like tapped out on the marketing at this point. Like, have you been doing your own videos? Are you ready for that? And yes, I'm speaking to myself as I say all of this. Right? So I think it's cool. I think that there is something so magical as a business owner and entrepreneur to see other people's journeys. And it's for life too. Like I get inspired by people I see that go through the messes. And I'm like, man, like I'm going through major messes in my life right now. And I know that your message is your message, your test is your testimony. So last night we were at a BNI event. I feel like this is just a whole BNI commercial at this point.
It is, yeah.
And I was talking to one of the members who had breast cancer a couple of years ago, and she said that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it kind of stops you, and it's like, did you just say cancer was one of the best things that ever happened to you? But these things happen so that we can grow, and I hope that that's what we give our listeners is like, you might be in a messy part of your life or your business right now, but man, that's where the construction happens. Like that's where you become all that you're meant to become. And I hope that we give the inspiration because when that member said that to me last night, like that is the inspiration. It's like, all right, I don't have breast cancer. So move on, Trinity. Let's go. Like let's honor the fact that this is a really great space to create. And if I look back at my businesses, those times in my business that were messy was where I built the foundational stuff that needed to happen, right? Like Danielle, you might be like, okay, marketing, like I'm done. That's where you start to build the foundation of delegating that out, hiring a company, hiring someone. And then you're going to look back at this moment 2 years from now and be like, thank God I was tapped out of marketing at that point because I wouldn't have taken the step. I wouldn't have done it. And look where it gets you, right? Is you never know. We never know our journeys. We just have to follow the construction. It's like the detour, it's like when you're going down the road and you know where you're going and you want to go on this road and they try to detour you left or they try to detour you right. How frustrated are you? You're like, oh my God, but it's right there. I'm going right there. And now you're going to take the long way around. You have no idea why you're taking that long way around.
I feel that. That was my knee injury. I had to really, I've been going slow and steady for about 6 months. Injuries in my line of work, and especially still being a leader and having to run the business, like I had to have surgery and this whole thing. And it really challenged me to venture different parts of myself and also like build confidence because I would never have just leaned into just using my words or delegating opportunity and still being a leader or leading other leaders. I probably wouldn't have made that decision either. So it was really interesting that the injury itself and this slow kind of motion in my world. But I had physical goals that I now have to like redo, and my students have to watch me be a beginner again, kind of, because I have to retrain my body again. So it's just kind of.
I think that's going to be very humbling for them, though. Like,
there's been a few moments already where they're like, one of them was like, oh, I hate the stretch. I was like, yeah, but I've rebuilt my body 3 times now. And I promise you, if we want to get to your split, this is the route. I've done it so many times now. My split, I have to rework it. I couldn't stretch. It was my knee. I can't stretch a split with a hurt knee. Like, that's just not even possible. So I've been 6 months without stretching. So guess what? My split is somewhat, I mean, obviously I have muscle memory working for me, but yeah, it already was a way to instill like, no, I've done this, it's working. And now I know why I do this warm up exactly the way I do.
Exactly.
Right there.
Exactly. Right? And I think that's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who are either in the same level kind of to support, or they're one step ahead or like 10 steps ahead that allow you to like have that path forward so that you're not necessarily the only one like cutting down the trees. Like there's already like, even if it's a little bit of an overgrown path, like you can kind of see the path and you know that you have to like go through there, or you work with someone where the path is like 100% clear and they've cleared it for you and all you have to do is just walk it. You know what I mean?
That right there. I was listening to a video from Tony Robbins, and he is huge in the personal to professional development world. If you you haven't heard of him, go look him up. Great inspiration. His story is impactful, and what he explains is things like this podcast, things like seminars, things like workshops, or working with someone, a mentor, a support coach of some sort, one-to-one. What it does is it speeds up the process. You're taking that person's expertise, right? So Megan, going back to you talking about the expertise that Sebago Signworks has as a whole over the competitors, that's what people are paying for.
Right.
When people hire me as a coach, they are paying for the 5, 6 hard years that I worked personally to build the tools and the expertise that I have in the Power of Your Mindset. Like I worked with individuals in a psychiatric hospital, the highest one in Maine, and I use these tools working with them. You're paying for that expertise. Graham, video, like your experience in the video, and the videography, and then marketing, that's what people are paying for. Danielle, your experience, like people are paying for that. And so when you value that, you can then show them that, yes, you're going to pay X amount more, but what are you getting for that? That difference, whether it's a $500 difference, $5,000 difference, or $50,000 difference, you're paying for that. So are you going to go learn that after and spend time, your precious years, or are you going to pay for it monetary and then reap everything we do here, help someone, right? It all makes an impact. It all grows us. What is that going to do for you? Are you eventually going to get monetary value back? Absolutely. Like
Exactly.
even just the physical movement, right? Like I can think about what it does in the brain for someone. A business owner coming and moving their body with you once or twice a week, building that muscle. Think about what it's doing for their brain, and that's going to then go into their business or their career, and they're going to be more successful. And so it always, in any way, in some shape or form, you're getting a return, monetary in some way.
100%.
There's a clip from our podcast from wherever it came from. I don't even remember when it was at this point. And I said something, and I was like, I'm really glad I reheard it. It says, I know that when an adult especially reaches out to take my class, they're relearning how to thrive and live, to find the life, like it's scary, it's dangerous, you kind of suck at first, it's like shiny and bright too because it's all fancy, and like I think that I really get to see people who want to live again when they reach out to want to take an aerial class, and it's such a special thing.
Totally. I think
Graham, you do the same thing. You see businesses who want to live again. Megan, you do the same thing. You see either brand new businesses that want to live again or aged businesses that want to live again. We're helping them live again in some way, evolving. We're helping them evolve.
And I think that if anybody is listening to this podcast, the fact that you're taking the time to sit through 30, 40 minutes of this podcast, that is the smallest step that you can be taking to be doing just that and investing in yourself. And like, it may not see the direct monetary value in this very moment, but I can assure you it is going to be something that's going to spark that inspiration. And we're all here for you as you're listening. Any questions that anybody has, we're always open to it. So I appreciate you all listening. My name is Graham Duval, owner of Valued Productions. I'm one of your co-hosts. You can find me online at Valued Productions, VALUD Productions on social media. Same thing, valuedproductions.com. Happy to connect with anybody. Joined with my co-host today.
Hello, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker. I am the founder of the Mindset Movement, showing you how to harness the power of your mindset to live a happy and healthy life, personally and professionally. Joined with my co-host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Hirsch. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. Like I said, I am the bird of the circus. So I teach people how to perform suspended in the air. I truly love what I do. If you are motivated by nutrition, fitness, movement, art, or motherhood, I am a great person to follow on all major platforms, and you can live chat on arialjade.com. And we are here with our guest today.
Hi everyone. Megan Fahey with Sebago Signworks. We do custom fab signs and vehicle advertising.
Where can our listeners find more about Sebago Signworks, Miss Megan?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook, Sebago Signworks, and then you could find our website, sebagosignworks.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Megan. It's a great conversation. And thank you all for listening. Make sure that you follow, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff wherever you listen to or watch your podcast, the Unfiltered Path podcast. And we'll see you all next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.